worry, everyone will get their share!
Hey guys, it's Peebus with another Billy guide. Billy and Caesar teams are destroying Shiyu Critical with speedrun times comparable to the top DPSs in the game. But if you're playing it wrong, you'll get half the value out of this team.
It's time to stop!
There are a lot of reasons why Caesar is the perfect fit for Billy, such as her interruption resistance helping Billy keep his crouching state and M6 buff, and her physical element activating Billy's core passive and helping trigger assault. But the biggest reason is that Billy is an on-field DPS and Caesar is an off-field stunner. Caesar's EX special is a parry and a counterattack. The parry uses 40 energy and the counterattack uses 20, but the counterattack is free if you successfully parried an attack. But what Caesar's tutorial doesn't say is that after doing her defensive assist and follow-up, she can directly access the counterattack for 20 energy, doing more total days and using less energy. This means that Caesar is best played while switching back and forth between her and your other agents, perfectly meshing with Billy's playstyle, which wants him to be on field using lots of dodge counters. You can even use both his dodge counter and her defensive assist at the same time using his M2 DP assist. Just roll towards an attack before it hits and switch to Caesar after the yellow spark. Unfortunately, this playstyle does struggle against enemies with mostly red attacks, such as the Tarrasque Mixer, Bulky Intimidator, Heavy Gunner, and Lightfoot Rover. Against these enemies, you'll have to on-field Caesar and use her EX parry, which fortunately still works against these attacks. With Billy Caesar teams, finding the right balance between decibels and days is the key to a fast clear. Stunning too early means you don't have ult ready, and stunning too late means you waste time gathering decibels you didn't need. You'll also want to make sure he does 2 chain attacks before every ult, since his additional passive gives his ult an extra 50% damage bonus per chain attack, up to twice. A large portion of Billy's damage is allocated in his ult, so you'll definitely want his ult to be available with both stacks of his passive when you stun the enemy. That means you'll want at least 2100 to 2400 decibels before stunning, depending on how many chain attacks you're doing and who your third teammate is. I'll talk about 2 main ways to gain decibels quickly: perfect assist and anomaly and disorder procs. A fast way to rack up these decibels is by using perfect assists, each of which give around 300 decibels. If all your perfect assists cost 1 point, you could have up to 1800 decibels just from perfect assists alone. Since Caesar and Billy's assists always count as 1 point, alternating between them is one way of efficiently building days and decibels simultaneously. If your days to decibel ratio is off, you can take advantage of the fact that Caesar's assists do significantly more days, and adjust the ratio between Caesar assists and Billy assists. If you're stunning too early, do more Billy assists, and if you're stunning too late, do more Caesar assists. By the way, if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers so I can apply for access to the content creator server, which would let me bring these guides to you earlier and with higher quality. Every little bit helps, so I'd greatly appreciate it. Another way to rack up decibels quickly is by applying lots of Anomaly. But neither Billy nor Caesar are Anomaly agents, so how are we going to do that? The key lies in the smaller mob enemies that usually spawn at the beginning of a Shiyu critical stage. It takes way less Anomaly application to proc an Anomaly on these enemies than elites or bosses, and each Anomaly proc on each enemy gives a flat amount of decibels, around 170-ish depending on the element. Depending on the stage in your team, you could gain more than 2000 decibels in a matter of seconds. Keeping all of this in mind, who should we choose as the third teammate? Most people are going to want to use the support, either Lucy or Nicole. Rina is disqualified for having an evasive assist, meaning Caesar's additional passive won't be activated. Sokaku is a workable option, but her field time requirement, anomaly application, grouping, and buff are all worse than Nicole's, and her buff uptime is worse than Lucy's, and it isn't team-wide. Between Lucy and Nicole, Lucy will be the easier to use option, since her longer buff duration can comfortably buff Billy's dodge counters as well as Billy's stun combo, especially at higher mindscapes. Her team-wide buff makes her a great option if you're planning to invest into this team, since both her and Caesar can have pretty good personal damage if invested into. However, numbers-wise, her buff isn't as effective as Nicole's, since stacking attack buffs with Caesar results in diminishing returns. She's also a little clunky to play before M2, but you can S-rank Shiyu critical just fine with her before then. On the other hand, Nicole will generally be the better option if you're going for the fastest Shiyu critical clears. Her grouping and anomaly application will help you quickly trigger disorder on the smaller enemies at the start of these stages, letting you rack up decibels insanely quickly. Her defense shred is amazing for dealing huge amounts of damage during the stun window with Billy's ult and EXs, although the short duration means most of his dodge counters outside of the stun window won't be buffed, and the burst rotation during the stun window can be a little complicated if you're trying to fit Billy's entire burst rotation inside both her debuff period and the stun window. Since the burst rotation will be a little different depending on how many decibels you have, enemy type, the support you're using, and W engine and disc equipped, I'll be making a guide on burst rotations for Billy Caesar team, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. But what if I told you that the best teammate may not be a support? Speedrunner Flaminski has achieved sub 30 second Shiyu critical 7 runs using Piper and Ching-Yi. These teammates become viable when our characters are so highly invested that they clear in a single cycle no matter what, so the bottleneck becomes the time it takes to stun and gain ult. Both runs take advantage of the smaller mobs that spawn at the beginning of the stage. After proccing shock and assault disorder and accumulating a huge amount of decibels, the only thing that remains is to stun the boss as quickly as possible and apply Ching-Yi's increased stun multiplier. The damage is so huge that you don't even need the 50% extra damage from his crouching buff to destroy Shadow Jane with a single ult. The Piper run has less enemies to proc anomalies on, so we make up for it by using Piper to trigger a few assaults on the boss to get our decibels to full. Note however that this strategy only provides better clears with incredibly high investment. That's gonna be it for today's video. Please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my burst rotations guide, and also to help me reach 1,000 subscribers so that I can apply to the content creator program to bring these guides out earlier. That's all from me, and see you in the next one.